The void between stars holds many secrets, but none quite like the one Commander Thissa was about to uncover. Her patrol vessel, the Celestial Eye, drifted through the outer veil sector, a place where most sensible beings feared to venture. The darkness here felt heavier, older, as if the universe itself remembered ancient wars fought in these very depths. Thissa ran her four-fingered hand across the sensor array, her violet skin reflecting the soft glow of her instruments. The Velkari were known throughout the galaxy as excellent scouts, their enhanced vision allowing them to spot anomalies others missed. But what appeared on her screen now defied all explanation. "Commander, we have multiple contacts," her navigator Quinn chittered nervously. The Chithra's antennae twitched rapidly, a sure sign of distress among his insectoid people. Thissa leaned forward in her chair, studying the readouts. At first, she thought the sensors had malfunctioned. The readings suggested 7 massive objects just hanging in space, but they gave off no heat signatures, no electromagnetic emissions. They were simply there like holes cut into the fabric of reality itself. "Bring us closer," she ordered, her voice steady despite the unease twisting in her chest. Quinn hesitated for a moment before complying. As the Celestial Eye cautiously approached, Thissa activated the visual scanners. What materialized before them stole the very breath from her lungs. Ships. 7 ships of such an enormous scale that her mind struggled to process what she was seeing. Each one stretched nearly 50 kilometers from bow to stern, their hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it. They hung in formation like sleeping giants, completely dark, completely silent. "By the first light," Quinn whispered, his translator struggling to convey the reverence of his species' prayer. "What civilization builds vessels like these?" Thissa reached for her communications panel with trembling fingers. This discovery, whatever it was, needed to reach the Galactic Council immediately. But before she could even initiate a transmission, every single instrument on her bridge suddenly came alive. Lights flickered across consoles. Screens flashed with information in languages she had never seen before. Then, one by one, the 7 silent ships awakened. Running lights illuminated along their hulls, revealing details that made Thissa's hearts race. These were not exploration vessels. Every surface bristled with weapon systems, defense grids, and technologies she couldn't begin to identify. Launch bays opened like hungry mouths, large enough to swallow entire battle groups. "Attention, unidentified vessel." A voice suddenly filled her bridge. "We detect your presence. State your identity and purpose." The voice spoke in perfect galactic standard, but with an accent Thissa had never encountered in all her years of service. She swallowed hard, trying to keep her composure. "This is Commander Thissa of the Velkari Republic. Aboard the patrol ship Celestial Eye. We are operating under Galactic Council authority. Please identify yourselves." A long, tense pause followed. Thissa could feel Quinn's nervous energy filling the small bridge. When the voice returned, it carried a weight that suggested careful consideration. "Commander Thissa, this is Captain Gerald Kane of the Human Defense Fleet, currently commanding the strike carrier Prometheus. We apologize for our delayed response. Our systems were in deep standby mode. Human?" The word meant nothing to Thissa. She quickly accessed the galactic database, searching for any reference to this species. The computer found nothing. No records, no first contact reports, no stellar cartography indicating their home world. It was as if these beings didn't exist. "Captain Kane," she said carefully, "the Galactic Council has no record of your species." "Where do you come from?" Another pause, then the response came with what sounded like resignation. "Commander, we come from a world called Earth, located in what you probably designate as the Far Arm region. We have been preparing for this moment for 3 generations." Thissa's mind reeled. The Far Arm was considered uninhabitable, a treacherous expanse filled with radiation storms and gravitational anomalies. No advanced civilization could possibly develop there. Yet here was the undeniable proof, hanging in space right in front of her. "Captain Kane," she said, "your ships are unlike anything in known space. What is their purpose?" The visual display on her main screen flickered, and suddenly Thesa found herself looking at a human face. Captain Kane appeared surprisingly similar to several humanoid species she knew, but his eyes held something different. Not aggression, not fear, but a deep, profound weariness that spoke of long preparation and even longer waiting. "Commander," Kane began, his expression deadly serious, "humanity learned a harsh lesson long ago. We are not the first intelligent species to arise in our region of space. We found ruins, evidence of civilizations that came before us. And we studied what destroyed them. What did you find?" Thesa asked, though a part of her was terrified to hear the answer. Kane gestured, and terrifying images appeared on Thesa's screen. Ancient structures torn apart by unimaginable forces. Entire worlds reduced to cosmic dust. Star systems sterilized by weapons that made current technology look like children's toys. "These events occurred millions of years ago," Kane continued, his voice grim. "But the threats that caused them still exist. They sleep in the dark spaces between galaxies, waiting. When our scientists confirmed this, humanity made a choice. We would never be unprepared. We would never be victims." Thesa stared at the enormous warships surrounding her tiny vessel. "So you built these?" "These and more," Kane confirmed. "The 7 ships you see are just one battle group. We have others stationed throughout the outer regions. For 300 years, we have watched and we have waited, building our strength in secret." Quinn made a sound of pure distress. 300 years of military buildup? "Commander, we must inform the Council immediately." Kane's expression grew even grimmer. "We understand your concern, Commander. But before you make that call, there is something you need to know. Our long-range sensors detected anomalies 3 months ago. The same energy signatures we found in those ancient ruins." He paused, letting the weight of his next words sink in. "Whatever destroyed those civilizations, it is returning. And it will arrive in this galaxy within 2 standard years." The words hung in the space between them like a death sentence. Thesa felt her world tilting on its axis. Everything she knew about galactic peace and prosperity, every treaty, every alliance, suddenly seemed fragile, naive, and utterly insignificant in the face of this revelation. The galaxy had a protector it never knew it needed, and the war they had been preparing for was about to begin. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more adventures from the far reaches of space. We'll see you in the next one. The emergency council session convened within a mere 18 hours of Commander Thesa's shocking report. Inside the Grand Assembly Hall on Nexus Prime, the air was thick with tension, a palpable unease that had never been felt before. Representatives from 43 member species filled the curved rows of seats, their diverse forms a living tapestry of galactic unity. But today, that unity felt fragile, brittle. At the central podium stood High Chancellor Morthen. His ancient Velkari frame, though 8 centuries old, still commanded respect. His ceremonial robes shimmered, adorned with the honors of a lifetime spent building peace. But today, those honors felt like heavy weights upon his shoulders. "The humans have agreed to send an ambassador," Morthen announced, his voice amplified throughout the silent chamber. "She arrives within the hour. Until then, we must review what we know." The holographic display above him flickered to life, showing the images Commander Thesa had transmitted. Gasps and concerned murmurs rippled through the assembly as 7 colossal human warships materialized in perfect, terrifying detail. General Voctor of the Kryn Dominion shot to his feet, his crystalline body refracting light in sharp, angry patterns. "This is an act of war," he declared. "An unknown species builds a secret armada on our borders, and we are expected to welcome them? They should be considered hostile until proven otherwise. Counselor Harwick of the Aquarian Collective raised a translucent tentacle. With respect, General, they made no aggressive moves toward Commander Thissa. In fact, they volunteered information about a potential threat. Perhaps we should listen before we judge. Listen to what? Wachter shot back. Fantastic stories about ancient dangers? Convenient timing, is it not? They appear with overwhelming military force and immediately present us with a threat only they can fight. Morthen raised a hand for silence, the gesture still carrying immense authority. We will hear what they have to say. Our civilization was built on dialogue, not assumptions. Just then, the massive chamber doors hissed open, and Ambassador Rachel Winters entered. She walked alone, unescorted, her simple gray diplomatic suit a stark contrast to the elaborate garments worn by the council members. From the observation gallery, Commander Thissa watched, noting how the human woman's eyes swept across the assembly with a calm, assessing gaze. There was no fear, no intimidation, just careful observation. Rachel reached the speaker's platform and bowed respectfully. Honored members of the Galactic Council, I am Rachel Winters, speaking on behalf of the United Earth Government. I thank you for this audience. Morthen began, his tone grave. Ambassador Winters, your species has shocked us with your presence. 7 warships of unprecedented size, hidden in our space for generations. Explain yourselves. Rachel's expression remained neutral. Chancellor, we were not hiding in your space. The Far Arm region is unclaimed territory, considered too dangerous for colonization. We developed there because it was the only place we could work undisturbed. Work on what, exactly? Demanded Wachter. A fleet designed to conquer? To survive, Rachel corrected firmly. She activated her own data tablet, and new images filled the holographic display. These are archaeological sites humanity discovered during our early expansion. 12 dead civilizations within 500 light-years of Earth. Some were more advanced than current galactic technology. All were destroyed by the same phenomenon. The images were devastating. They showed planets cracked open like eggs, space stations torn into their component atoms, and entire solar systems stripped of all matter except for their dying stars. A profound silence fell over the chamber. We call it the harvest, Rachel continued. Every 50 to 60 million years, something enters this galaxy from the void beyond. It consumes advanced civilizations, taking their technology, their knowledge, their very matter, and then it leaves. The geological and astronomical evidence is undeniable. Counselor Harwick spoke softly, his voice full of dawning dread. If this is true, why has the Council never discovered it? Because you have only existed for 12,000 years, Rachel replied, her tone factual, not accusatory. The last harvest occurred 58 million years ago. You had no reason to look for patterns, spanning such immense time scales. Humanity stumbled upon the evidence by accident. Convenient, Wachter muttered, but his usual bluster was gone, his crystalline form flickering with uncertainty. At that moment, Colonel Hassan Brooks stepped forward from the entrance. He had entered quietly during Rachel's presentation. He was older than the ambassador, his dark skin creased with lines earned through decades of service. Morthen immediately recognized the bearing of a career soldier. I am Colonel Brooks, Chief of Naval Intelligence. May I speak plainly? Please, Morthen invited. Brooks moved to stand beside Rachel. 317 years ago, our scientists confirmed the harvest's approach. We detected gravitational ripples, consistent with something massive moving through intergalactic space. We have tracked it ever since. Current projections place its arrival in this galaxy at 22 months from now. He manipulated the display, showing a complex mathematical model of energy signatures and temporal distortions. These are not guesses. This is hard science. We have devoted 3 centuries to studying this threat. Every calculation, every simulation points to the same conclusion. When it arrives, It will target the most advanced technological civilizations first. Voctor said slowly, "And you expect us to believe that you built this fleet purely to help us?" Rachel shook her head. "We built this fleet to help everyone, including ourselves. Earth is part of this galaxy. If the harvest succeeds, we die too. But yes, we also built it because humanity refuses to be victims." Tessa found herself standing, her voice carrying from the gallery. "Ambassador, I witnessed your ships. 7 vessels, each capable of destroying fleets. How many more do you have?" The question hung in the air, a single point of terrible focus. Rachel exchanged a brief, silent glance with Brooks before answering. "Currently operational? 43 battle groups. 301 ships total." The chamber erupted. Chaos reigned as representatives shouted questions and accusations. Morthen called for order, his voice lost in the pandemonium. Voctor's crystalline form blazed with light as he roared about invasion forces. Harwick waved his tentacles frantically, trying to calm those nearby. But Rachel stood still amid the storm, waiting. Brooks remained at her side, his military discipline a rock in the churning sea of fear and anger. Finally, Morthen's voice, boosted to its maximum by the chamber's amplification systems, cut through the noise. Silence. The assembly quieted, though the tension vibrated through the air like a physical force. "Ambassador Winters," Morthen said carefully, "you must understand how this appears. An unknown military power reveals itself with claims of saving us from a threat we cannot verify. You ask us to trust you while holding enough firepower to subjugate the entire council." Rachel nodded slowly. "I understand completely, Chancellor, which is why we are prepared to share everything. Our research, our technology, our military capabilities. We will open our ships to inspection. We will place our forces under joint command if necessary." "Why?" The question came from Counselor Harwick. "Why give up your advantage?" "Because strength means nothing if you stand alone," Rachel answered. Her voice carried a conviction that resonated through the chamber. Humanity learned that lesson the hard way. We nearly destroyed ourselves with our own weapons before we reached the stars. We know that survival requires cooperation, not domination," Brooks added, his voice low and serious. "Our projections show that even our full fleet cannot stop the harvest alone. We need your industrial capacity, your scientific knowledge, your unified population base. Together, we might have a chance. Separately, we all die." The chamber fell utterly silent as the weight of that statement settled over the assembly. Thesa watched the faces around her faces that had been twisted in anger and suspicion, now shift to fear, then to a dawning, cautious consideration. The galaxy had just learned it was not the apex of creation. Something older, hungrier, and far more dangerous was coming. And humanity, the newcomers, the secret builders, had been preparing for 300 years to face it. The age of peace was over. The age of survival had just begun. The weeks following Rachel Winters' revelation transformed the Galactic Council chambers from a place of debate into a war room. Species that had spent centuries in comfortable peace now faced a truth that shattered their sense of security. The universe was not kind. It was not safe. And survival would demand everything they had. Morthen stood before the observation window in his private chambers, watching transport ships arrive and depart from Nexus Prime in endless streams. Each vessel carried scientists, military advisors, and engineers rushing to study the human findings. His reflection in the glass showed a leader who had aged years in mere weeks. Behind him, Rachel Winters waited patiently. She had requested this private meeting, and Morthen had granted it despite the protests of his security staff. Something about the human ambassador inspired trust, even as her revelations had sparked fear. "You carry a heavy burden, Chancellor," Rachel said softly. "Leading your people through this crisis cannot be easy." Morthen turned to face her. "For 800 years, I have worked to build unity among the stars. I believed we had created something lasting. Now I wonder if we were merely children playing in the garden, ignorant of the predators beyond the fence. Rachel approached the window, standing beside him. On Earth, we have a saying. Hope is not a strategy, but neither is despair. You built something beautiful here, Chancellor. 43 species cooperating, sharing knowledge, choosing peace over conflict. That achievement does not become meaningless because danger exists. The door chimed, and Colonel Brooks entered, followed by Commander Thesa and General Wachter. The unlikely trio had been working together at the Joint Military Coordination Center, their initial hostility evolving into grudging respect. Chancellor, Ambassador Brooks began. We have preliminary results from the combined research teams. Wachter's crystalline form pulsed with cautious optimism. The human data is legitimate. Our best scientists have verified their calculations. The threat is real, and it is coming. Thesa added, we have also inspected 3 of the human battle groups. Their technology is genuine, and they have been truthful about their capabilities. More importantly, they have begun sharing their manufacturing processes. With our combined industrial output, we can expand the defense fleet significantly. Morthen felt something shift in his chest. After weeks of fear and uncertainty, here was something concrete. Action they could take. Hope grounded in reality. How long do we have to prepare? He asked. Brooks activated a holographic display. 20 months at current approach speed. We propose a 3-phase defense strategy. Phase 1 involves fortifying key systems and evacuating vulnerable populations. Phase 2 focuses on fleet positioning and integrated command structures. Phase 3 is the actual engagement. And our chances? Morthen pressed. Honestly, Brooks met his gaze. Without cooperation, 0. The harvest has consumed civilizations far more advanced than ours individually. But together, with humanity's military infrastructure and the Council's scientific knowledge, we estimate a 37% chance of survival. Those odds are not inspiring. Wachter rumbled. Rachel stepped forward. They are better than the odds faced by any previous civilization. Every species that encountered the harvest before faced it alone. We face it together. That makes all the difference. Morthen looked at each face in the room. A human colonel who had spent his life preparing for a war he hoped would never come. A Volcari commander who had discovered that the peaceful galaxy she protected harbored ancient terrors. A Kryn general who had learned that true strength came not from dominating others, but from standing beside them. What do you need from the Council? Morthen asked. Brooks and Rachel exchanged glances. Everything, Brooks said simply. Every ship, every factory, every brilliant mind. We need to transform this entire civilization into something it has never been. A unified force capable of defending itself. Rachel added more gently. We also need something harder to quantify. We need belief. The people of the galaxy must understand what is coming and choose to face it, rather than flee or deny it. Fear is natural, but it cannot paralyze us. Morthen walked to his desk and retrieved a small data tablet. On it was a speech he had been writing for days, revising endlessly. He had struggled to find words that could inspire hope without minimizing the danger they faced. I am scheduled to address the entire Galactic Council in 2 hours, he said. Every member species will be watching. What I say today will determine whether we stand united or fracture into chaos. Thesa spoke up, her voice carrying unexpected emotion. Chancellor, if I may, I was the first to encounter the humans. I confess I felt terror when I saw their warships. But in the weeks since, I have worked alongside them. I have seen humans who were born on those ships, raised in preparation for a threat their great-grandparents first discovered. Entire generations who devoted their lives to protecting people they had never met. She paused, her violet skin deepening in color. That is not the behavior of conquerors. That is the behavior of guardians. If they can maintain hope across 3 centuries, surely we can sustain it for 20 months. Vokter's crystalline body resonated with a sound like distant chimes. I never thought I would say this, but the insect is right. He used the term without malice, a sign of how much had changed. We Kryn have always valued strength. I see now that true strength is not the power to destroy, but the courage to protect. Morthen felt warmth spreading through his chest. These beings, so different in form and culture, had found common ground in the face of extinction. Perhaps that was the real lesson. Adversity did not have to divide. It could unite. Ambassador Winters, he said formally, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I accept your offer of alliance. We will face this threat together, as equals. Rachel smiled, and for the first time since arriving, Morthen saw the weight lift slightly from her shoulders. Thank you, Chancellor. You will not regret this decision. 2 hours later, Morthen stood before the assembled representatives of galactic civilization. Billions watched through live broadcasts. He looked at the faces before him, seeing fear, but also determination. My fellow beings, he began, his voice steady and strong. We face a crisis unlike any in recorded history. But I stand before you today not with despair, but with hope. For we do not face this crisis alone. He gestured, and images appeared showing human and council personnel working side by side in shipyards, laboratories, and command centers. Humanity came to us with warnings and weapons, with knowledge and strength. They could have used their power to dominate. Instead, they offer partnership. They remind us that survival is not guaranteed, but neither is defeat. The outcome depends on our choices, our courage, our unity. Morthen's voice grew passionate. For 300 years, one species prepared to defend a galaxy they had never met. Now we have 20 months to prove worthy of that sacrifice. 20 months to show that when faced with extinction, intelligent beings choose cooperation over conflict. 20 months to demonstrate that life, in all its diverse forms, will not surrender to darkness. The chamber erupted in approval, representatives from dozens of species rising to their feet. Morthen saw tears on alien faces, determination in eyes that had known only peace. In the observation gallery, Rachel stood beside Brooks, Thessa, and Vokter. The 4 of them represented something new. Not human or Velkari or Kryn or Chithra, but something greater. A unified civilization ready to fight for its future. We have a chance, Brooks said quietly. Rachel nodded, watching the council members embrace and pledge support. More than a chance. We have each other. And sometimes that is enough to change the galaxy.